What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's a brand new month. It is the 1st of May, 2023, 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is going to be a busy week. I'm expecting some volatility again this week, even though we saw some unexpected volatility last week. But today we're going to be going over the different things that we're watching this week, what's going on in the market. We're going to be going over the news, and we're going to be doing all this with my co-host again today, the Bitcoin Queen. How you doing, Queen?
Hey guys, what's up? Queen here. Doing well. Went to Consensus last week, so recovering from all my travels, but overall pretty good. Can't complain. Consensus was a little smaller than it has been in previous years, which no surprise. We are in the middle of a bear market that is going bullish though, but definitely a lot of new faces that I still see popping up. So yeah, adoption is still on its way, and you can actually see that in some of the things that we'll cover here in the news, because although we did see that a lot of companies cut and slash things like metaverse spending and things like that in previous months, we are seeing more companies ramp up on general blockchain development. And we'll cover that a little later. But for now, I guess let's get into an overview and see what Bitcoin's doing, Jay.
Yes, definitely. So, today we'll be talking about pricing, what's going on in the market. We're going to go over the economic calendar for the week. It's going to be very important this week. Go over the news. Then I'll jump into a market analysis, and then we'll end it with a Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything going on in the market, whether we cover it or not, just drop it in the comments. And at the last part of this video, last 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to do a Q&A with you guys, answer those for you. So let's go ahead and jump right into the prices. As you guys can see right now, Bitcoin is currently sitting at $28,350. And I would like to mention that when we first went on the air, it was actually a little bit lower than this. It was at like 28,250. So Bitcoin, as soon as we went live, Bitcoin's price already started going up. So once again, we're making an impact on the price of Bitcoin.
Don't we always? That's our thing, right?
Yeah. Let's take a look at Ethereum here. We can see similar price action here in Ethereum. As you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin are very correlated. Every now and then Ethereum will take off a little bit more, but for the most part, right now they're currently once again correlated. It is currently sitting at $1,840. So if we look,
Bitcoin was correlated to gold recently, wasn't it? After the fall of a bank that we will discuss later on.
What, Bitcoin?
Yes, it was correlated. I think Bitcoin and gold took off for a short period of time because there was another bank collapse earlier this week
because of the bank contagion fears and all that. Yeah, definitely. It's the most that gold has moved in like the last 10 years. So Peter Schiff must be happy, right? Finally, gold moved.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter.
So we're looking over the market here. As you can see, in the last 7 days, even though we're currently down for the day, Bitcoin is actually up almost 5% in the last week. Ethereum up just over a percentage. And then if we scroll down a bit, kind of look over the market, we'll see kind of mixed things here. You see Solana's up almost 4%. And then we have a few that are down. We have Tron up 4%. And you can continue to see that as you go down. Some projects have bounced, some have not. Some are lagging a bit behind. If we go here to the top 100, to the top crypto gainers and losers, in the top 100, you'll see one that snuck its way into the number 100 spot, and that is none other than Pepe. Pepe has now officially joined the top 100 crypto market cap.
Wow.
It added 235% over the last 7 days. Its market cap, what's its market cap at? It's not showing me market cap. It's only showing me the volume. Let me see market cap.
I could have, I guess, like not even 10x, 1x on Pepe. I tried to
Yeah.
buy it a week ago.
Right. Market cap is sitting at $447 million. Guys, I want to say
Oh
be
man.
careful, because with all meme coins, they are musical chairs. You want to make sure to take profit before the music stops. So we've seen this in many coins over the years. Bep is just the latest one. Just don't get caught without a chair when the music stops. That's the best thing I can tell you. Um, other cryptos that are also performing in the last 7 days, Renders up 35%, Casper Network 19%, and Injective 12%. And then the top losers over the last 7 days, Pancake Swap down 22%, XDC Network down 10%, Neo down 8%. So just kind of an overview of what's going on overall in the market. Let's go ahead and take a look at the economic calendar here for this week. So let me switch this to, wow, this is a lot of countries here. All right, let's not do that. Let's just go back here. So the main thing that we're going to be looking at this week is going to be on Wednesday, which is going to be the Fed interest rate decision. All right. So now, as you guys can see, the consensus is a 25 basis points rate hike. It's pretty much already priced into the markets. So unless there's something crazy, either like a pause in interest rate hikes, I don't think we're going to see too much volatility based on the decision itself. The only time you'll see, because the market's already kind of pricing it in, you'll only see major volatility at this time when this data is released. If one, it gets paused or something, or two, if it's more than 25 basis points. Other than that, I think the market will be, it might, be more volatile than normal during the release and leading up to it. But all eyes are really going to be on this right here, which is the press conference after the interest rate decision. The reason why is because we're looking for hints on what's going to happen going forward. So if we look here, we can see our probability for Wednesday is 91.9% probability that there will be a 25 basis points rate hike. So, the market's already pricing it in, right? Now, if we go to June, now you can see that there's a 63% probability that there's going to be a pause, but there's still a 32% that there's going to be another rate hike. So the market's trying to figure out what's going to happen in June, right? So that's what we're going to be watching on Wednesday. That's what we're going to be watching this week. That's going to be the main event, right, for this week. What's gonna be what are they gonna be speaking about during this press conference? What's that language gonna sound like? Are they gonna be hawkish? Are they gonna be sound bearish, dovish, hawkish? What's gonna be what's the outlook going forward? So that's what we're really gonna be looking for, trying to figure out hints, because the market wants to figure out and price in whatever's going to happen. So if there's going to be a pause, the market's going to want to price it in. If there's going to be another interest rate hike, market wants to price it in. Right now, the market's leaning towards a pause, but it's still not sure. So it's not priced in yet. So that's the main thing that we're going to be watching on Wednesday. Other than that, this week we're also going to have on Thursday. Thursday we have the ECB interest rate decision and their press conference. So that could bring a little bit of volatility as well. I don't think it'll bring as much as Wednesday, but that should bring some volatility as well. Thursday we also have earnings. So on Thursday we have Coinbase and Apple earnings. They're going to be releasing their earnings for the previous quarter. This is always kind of important as well, especially so Coinbase obviously is connected to crypto company. So and Apple is it's the major tech company overall, right? So we saw last week that we had crypto actually went bullish based on some tech earnings that were also bullish. So that's why we're watching Apple, because it could potentially, affect the market overall. If it's bullish, then that could be positive for the overall economy. If it's bearish, that could be a negative for the overall economy, since it's one of the bigger tech companies, in the market, right? So that could directly affect crypto as well, and just the overall markets. So, like I said, we have a lot of things to look forward to this week. We have a lot of things going on, and we're gonna break. We're gonna go a little bit more into detail as far as price analysis, market analysis in a bit. But first, Let's turn it over to the Bitcoin Queen, and jump into some news.
Some news. There is a couple things going on in the news. So first and foremost, we saw the other day that First Republic Bank did in fact collapse. I guess failed in a sense, but not quite in technical terms, because it was seized by the FDIC before it officially failed. And then JP Morgan was putting up some bets for it. I think it was yesterday they were set to acquire. I don't know if they completely closed that deal, but it was yesterday that First Republic Bank was being set to acquire by JP Morgan. And obviously we saw a little bit of a pump after we saw the dump over the weekend, or in the week. We saw, I think Bitcoin went to 27,000 at some point in time in the week. There was about, I think it was like $100 million in liquidity that went out. And then when this collapse came in, we saw both Bitcoin and gold take a ride. So that gave us a nice little boost. And here we are doing the, I don't want to say bank runs, because they're not bank runs. It's just we're in the midst of seeing the banking amongst the economy fail. And this has mostly to do with all the interest rates going up, and all the bonds that were bought at a lower interest rate, which banks cannot sell for a profit, then they will end up negative. And this is basically just that. There's a lower ratio of loans taking place. Banks are not being able to sell all their treasury bonds at a positive yield, and thus they are negative in perpetuity, which is great for these larger banks. And they're having a great time, but for these smaller banks, it's really tough, and clearly it's not great. So that's that. However, what we have been seeing is a acceleration on the market, with other companies pretty much pushing full force on blockchain development. Earlier in the year, we saw that there was a number of companies such as Facebook, Meta, Microsoft, just to name a few, that basically terminated a lot of employees that were focused on metaverse, and pushing things within the metaverse, like AltSpace, just to name one of my favorite ones. I used to love going on AltSpace. And yeah, Facebook had its virtual universe as well that didn't do so well. As we were coming out of COVID, everyone thought we were just going to stay online and stay at home, but that's not the case. There's actually a lot of companies calling their employees back into office due to lack of productivity at home. But companies like MasterCard, Visa, Google recently have been aggressively hiring blockchain developers and implementing different things across the board to innovate and push mass adoption. So MasterCard partnered with Polygon, Solana, and a few others to have a kind of like a foolproof system to kind of like combat fraud. Visa, we saw, was aggressively hiring blockchain developers to develop on top of their platform. Google, same thing, hiring for their cloud system. So we're seeing that companies are still remaining strong and pushing forward towards blockchain development. And I think it has a little bit to do also with the fact that a lot of this AI stuff has been rolling out. And as we know, blockchains are meant to keep things Well, if it's a distributed ledger, at least keep things decentralized, but also keep track of things and that cannot be changed or altered. So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that blockchains are immutable, and perhaps between that and AI, things are going to be weird. Tracking is going to be weird. We've seen a lot of like AI music. Hollywood doesn't like that, of course. So trying to keep tabs on people, on who uses what where, and making sure that it doesn't go anywhere, I think is a strategy that they're having, in addition to accounting, that would be useful for Visa and MasterCard. So interesting stuff coming up here. So Hong Kong, as we know, was for a long time closed due to COVID. And recently, Hong Kong and Singapore have just been at it in terms of being the leader in crypto in Southeast Asia. So in May, Hong Kong has announced that they will have some crypto regulatory framework, which is great because all the companies in the world are basically asking for just that, which the U.S. has lacked to provide. And I don't know if we talked about this last time around, but Coinbase is suing the SEC because of this, because they are lacking to provide regulatory framework information for them, and are basically sending them letters saying, hey, maybe you're doing something wrong, we'll let you know. And that's not good for anyone. Yeah, so the U.S. is playing games right now, and it's not to their benefit. So Coinbase is suing them. We're also seeing that Binance pulled out from their bid to buy Voyager. They were going to buy Voyager for $1.3 billion, and because of lack of U.S. clarity framework, they said, hey, we're not going to do it. You're not helping us. I think also Binance US is also kind of on the same side as Coinbase and saying, like, you need to give us framework. We don't know what's going on. We will pull out of the US. And it's not looking too good for that. I think on-ramps are the most important thing when it comes to operating with cryptocurrency within the US. I don't think all on-ramps will go away. Things like Cash App and perhaps Venmo, exchanges are in a weird spot right now. And it's because they offer so many cryptocurrencies across the board. But it has been clear that at least Bitcoin is safe. Even Ethereum is up in the air 50-50, because, we've seen Gensler on the hot seat, unable to answer on whether or not it is a security or commodity. In my honest opinion, Ethereum is not going to get pinched as of right now because it's too big. Ethereum is too big to be dealt with at the moment. There is too many stakeholders and too many actors within the Ethereum ecosystem for anything to happen, in my honest opinion. I don't think Ethereum is going to face any scrutiny. What I do believe is that exchanges that allow you to stake, those exchanges will be facing some sort of scrutiny, in the sense that, in theory, you can ask them to have money transmitters licenses in order to allow their customers to stake. And aside from those licenses, you may require customers that have this ability to be an accredited investor, based off the mechanism. But that's going to take some time to implement. I think on-ramps such as Cash App, maybe Venmo, and some of the others in between will be fine. It is not profitable for an exchange to operate just selling Bitcoin. So whether or not in the long term exchanges stay in the US, if things continue to be so hostile, that is very questionable. But at very least, we will have basic on-ramps like Cash App to just simply buy Bitcoin, get in, and then you can figure your stuff out after that. But yeah, it's not looking so great for the U.S. crypto market right now. A lot of companies are retracting. A lot of companies are looking in other directions. There is bills that have been passed in states like Texas to protect people within these industries, especially within Bitcoin mining. Supposedly, in the next 2 months, there will be a bill in office in the U.S. Trying to push some sort of clarity. I'm not sure what or how, but this is something that we will see. And when we get there is when we get there, I hope it's not some chop suey, as I like to say. So the last thing on the news that we'll talk about today is our dear friend Balaji. So as we know, Balaji claimed that Bitcoin was going to be $1 million in 90 days. Now there was some people that were like, "Oh my God, yes," and then there was some people who were like, "You're insane." And as we saw, Bitcoin is probably not going to reach 90, or it's probably not going to reach $1 million in the next 90 days. So consensus, he actually retracted his statement and said that Bitcoin might be $1 million in 900 days or in 90 months. I don't know.
So he forgot a zero.
Not 100%. Yeah, it was like okay, well we're just gonna add zeros or change the timeline here. And obviously, this was something that we saw coming. No surprise there. I actually think it's funny that he decided to announce this at consensus of all places. But yeah, I mean, basically his statement was retracted because it's just so unlikely. Hyperinflation of the dollar. I mean, there's a lot of news around, and I'm assuming he also retracts his statement around hyperinflation being in 90 days, which was the reasoning as to why Bitcoin would be $1 million. Because it's just extremely impractical at this point in time, and it doesn't make any actual sense. So I have seen things in the news that talk about the dollar, and it's inevitable that it's on the line right now. However, I think for at least the next 2 years, we're going to see inflation is pretty high. In other countries, it's not necessarily any better per se. And people still, again, hold the dollar as a reserve currency. And until things like Bitcoin are more accessible on a broader scale, I don't think anybody will hold anything else as a reserve currency. I think in the next few months, it will be very interesting to watch what happens, especially with FedNow coming out and a lot more framework to push these CBDCs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, hopefully let's hope for the best.
Yep, definitely a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully they can get it figured out, especially with the framework.
They have to. There's just no way. And I know it hasn't been in their favor to figure it out,
right? Mostly
because there's a lot of lobbyists who have been pushing for crypto, and that's fine. But there's also been a lot of, I guess. Look what happened with Sam, right? Sam was a lobbyist. He came in, he donated to the party, and a lot of this stuff was kind of in self-interest. Some of it wasn't, some of the things that he was saying against DeFi, and some of it was. And at the end of the day, his own company collapsed, and there was a lot of hurt that was caused and created by it. And, nothing good came of it. So what's happening is a lot of these lawmakers are scared to trust what anyone has to say. And that is an issue, at large, but something needs to be figured out because we can't just stay this way. It's extremely unsustainable to be operating in such an environment where, it's very unclear. You build a company one day and then out of nowhere, it's like, bam, you're illegal. It's like, you can't do that. You just cannot do that. Clear framework needs to be put in place. And the truth is, crypto's not going anywhere. Cryptocurrency companies aren't going anywhere. They're not going to leave. They're not going to disappear. So giving them, guidelines to stay within this box is better than, whatever the heck they got going on now.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like you said, crypto's not going anywhere. You know, if the framework here in the U.S. is really bad, companies are just gonna leave the U.S. and then the U.S. is gonna fall behind. You know, they're gonna be behind the ball. So,
Yeah,
I think it's in their best interest to really figure it out and get that ball rolling. Because like I said, like we're already seeing Coinbase talking about possibly going somewhere else if you know the framework isn't set up. So they're trying to figure it out, and it's not fair that the SEC is going after these companies after after whatever it is just because they're making it up as they go. So well, hopefully we get that figured out. The quicker that they do, the better. And they definitely need to have like pro crypto people on the SEC. I think in order to really come up with a framework because it can't just be from people that are on the outside looking in, right? Um,
absolutely. It's
it,
it's
it
it's
yeah, because
actually very
it doesn't make sense.
detrimental if you do that.
Right? It doesn't. It makes
Are you aware what's happening in Europe?
no. What?
So in Europe, right now, basically they have things going through Parliament, and a lot of those people anti-crypto, they're trying to make some sense of regulation, but a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. So they have these terms called hosted and unhosted wallets, and pretty much if you have a hosted wallet, which is where you're allowed to keep your cryptocurrency, which is a custodial wallet. So, a wallet that belongs on an exchange or is governed by a bank or some kind of regulated entity, is going to be allowed if this bill that's going through Parliament passes. If you have an unhosted wallet, which is a hot wallet, a ledger, a Trezor, anything that is not attached to an exchange or a bank, it is illegal to hold your cryptocurrency in one of those wallets. So that is something that's going, amidst, I guess it's there was Brexit, so I don't know what they call it now, but whatever group of European countries that is, whether it's London, UK, probably just the UK is where this is like circulating through, but it's insane, to say, hey, you can have crypto, but your bank has to hold it. It's like, wait
Wow.
a minute.
Yeah.
What are you saying? It's
Yeah.
like I can have cash, but my bank has to hold it. You can't actually have cash. You can just swipe your card.
Right.
It's like
That makes
insane.
zero sense because
Insane.
it's like what's the point of the whole point of
It
crypto?
completely negates
Yeah, exactly.
the purpose. Yes.
The entire point and purpose of crypto is to have no third party, to have no middleman, to have no banks, to have no central authority over it. So
Well, they can't make money that way. They can't track how much you have and make sure you pay your taxes. They have to know how much you have, right?
Yep. So, yeah, we definitely need some crypto people within these things because if not, it's like imagine people that have never played football or basketball and they're the ones creating the rules, right? How are they gonna know the rules if they've never participated, have never been in it, right? So yeah, it just
Yeah, exactly.
makes zero sense. All right, so thank you for the news, Bitcoin Queen. That was a lot of coverage right there. Now we're going to jump into a price analysis. So let's first start off. As you guys know, today is the first of the month, so it's the 1st of May. So let's start it off by looking at how we ended last month. Let me pull the chart up here. Here we go. So as you guys can see in this chart right here, last month we did end up green, but we went in. There was a lot of volatility in both directions last month. We went down as low as 26,925, and we went as high as $31,000. So definitely a lot of volatility there. You can see the clear support where that was held right here. And then to start this month off so far, we're down 3.5%. So, but again, it's only the first day. We'll see what happens. Now, now that we're in May, it brings up a famous phrase that is known in the financial world. sell in May and go away. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Bitcoin Queen, but there's definitely a lot of that's a really big thing, a really popular saying in the overall stock market and things like that, right? So the question is, what about crypto? So I have a few fun facts here that I'm gonna drop here. Where is it? That I'm gonna drop here for crypto. Um, based on this, right? And this is a chart right here that we're gonna just kind of take a quick look at. And this is looking, every line here represents May, right? And like the main points here is 6 out of the 11 years, if you would have sold in May, it would have been worth it, right? Because after it went down. So that means that 5 out of the 11 years is Bitcoin's price went up. The other thing is that the months following May, so that's June all the way up until September, are Bitcoin's worst performing months on average. All right, so that's another thing to keep in mind. Now, in the recent times, so if we look back at the last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 4 out of the 5 years, we've had big drawdowns, right? So we had one here, 71%, we had 58%, then we had an up, we went up in this year, that was in 2020, 626%. Then the last 2 years, 2021, 2022, we were down 56% and down 60%, right? So that's all obviously the recent memory and recency bias, right? 4 out of the last 5 years we've gone down. But the last thing to keep in mind is that if you kind of, if you start out here and you kind of add them all up, overall, if you would have just bought and held throughout the period of, June through September, you would still be in a profit. You would be up. So I think I ran the numbers and I think it would have been up around 1,700%, right? So because overall, when Bitcoin moves up, it moves up way harder than when it moves down. So and if you take out the biggest on like the best year, so for example, this right here, all the way back in, I think this is like 2011, 2012. If we take this out, right, and then let's say we take out the biggest losing year, which was back here, minus 76%, you still would have been a profit. I think the number was 298% profit, which would be an average of around 22% per year. So, for crypto, should you sell in May and go away? Maybe not. But again, as always, do your own research, come up with your own numbers, and figure out what might be the best strategy for you. I think for me, it's definitely just buy and hold, right? Especially going into the current, because remember, the last few years, we're really in a bear market, right? So 2021, 2022, there were down years. So you were expecting this to go down like this. Now we're going into where that first year, that pre-halving year, which is typically bullish. So especially this year, pre-halving, the year of the halving, and the year after, it might be a good time, as you guys can see here, to stay in crypto and to hold on to Bitcoin, not sell in May and go away. But maybe after that, then we might consider this being a good strategy at that point. So just a couple things that I wanted to cover. I thought it was kind of fun to look at it. I know a lot of people have asked about it. So something to just kind of keep in mind. It's not something to just base an entire strategy around, but just something to keep in mind overall. Let's see, what else do we got here? So now let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly candles here. As you guys can see here, we've obviously started off the week red, but last week was a decent week. We had a plus 6% week after a big engulfing red candle here of minus 9%. So I liked seeing this support hold. As you guys can see, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks in a row now, this support has held here. And I think it could potentially, continue providing that support here. As you guys know, we have this big red resistance. This is a big red resistance we keep getting rejected from. And beyond that, we have this big resistance trending line, right? So it's trending up. It's been setting up the higher highs for us as we've continued to trend up throughout the year. And it has been rejecting us. So right now, for this week, that high, that trending line up here would be sitting around $33,000. So if we were to break above this resistance, that next resistance that we're looking at is probably around here, which is, and also 32. 32 is a previous number here that's acted as a resistance before. It's also acted as a support. So that's something else that'll be there. And then we also have this dynamic resistance it looks like it's going to continue setting up, helping us set up those higher highs. As you can see, when we started the trend here, we consolidated for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And on the 8th week, basically, is when we had that big move up. And this was a CPI week, right? So now we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 7th week. And next week is the CPI week. So can we potentially see something similar happen? What was this one on? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that was on the 8th week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next week will be 8. So can we get another 8th candle just like this one? That high would be up here, which would sit around $34,000 if we continue to reach the top of this resistance range. So maybe, right? I do expect CPI data to be a catalyst. If it continues to be a bullish catalyst as it's been performing here, you can see here we had the same thing here. How many weeks was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this was 9. This was 8. So we're coming into that range, right? 8 to 9 weeks after a big impulse move. Can we get another big move here? Can we get another leg up, a continuation to this rally? That's what we're going to be watching next week. So this week it's going to, we have the Fed, the Fed interest rate decision. Again, I think it's going to bring volatility into the market, but it's not going to bring, I don't think it'll bring something huge like this. Maybe something smaller on the lines of this if it's a bullish news, if we get word that we are pausing going forward. That would be definitely be bullish. So that's the main things that we're watching as far as an overview into the monthly and weeklies, as well as what we're looking at this month. Let's go into the daily and look at some possible resistance, support zones. And it's right now it's going to be the same thing here, right? Right now, where we're currently at, it's no man's land. So if I'm looking for a trade, I'm probably not looking to fill a trade in this range. Where I want to fill a trade is in the green box or the red box. So those right now, those are my ranges to fill trades, right? And this again goes back 7 weeks at this point. So you can see that in the green box has been a good opportunity to buy, to go long, right? In the red box has been a good opportunity to sell or go short. Eventually one of these are going to get broken. So you have to be careful that you don't get caught on the wrong side of it when it finally does get broken. So this is currently, we've hit this range. We've hit it as support basically once here. We've hit the red box once. Now we've hit the green box again a second time, the red box a second time. So now which way is this candle going to go? Are we going back into the green box or back into the red box? And then you can make a decision based off that, because that's going to give you an edge. Eventually it is going to be broken, but you can play the zone until it's broken. So and then once that's broken, you can make sure you have your stop set up, and then you can reevaluate at that point. So that's currently what I'm doing. I'm looking for longs here in the green box, shorts up here in the red box. Sometimes trading is complicated enough. Sometimes you just got to simplify it, dumb it down, and just play these zones. Look for that support, look for that resistance. Make it as easy as possible on yourself, right? Don't try to go against the trend. Don't try to overcomplicate it, putting a bunch of indicators. You guys can see I have 0 indicators on this chart right now. I like to look at the chart as plain as possible with just support and resistance zones, and then go from there. I look at indicators for confluence. So right now, this is what I'm looking at. So now bullish scenarios and bearish scenarios, I think is going to mostly depend on what we get on Wednesday. That's going to be the main thing. Depending what we get Wednesday, as you guys I already told you guys, for Wednesday, there's a 91% probability that there will be a 25 basis points hike. That's already priced in. So what we're really watching for is going to be for the 14th of June. We're trying to get an idea what's going to happen then. Right now, probability is for a pause, but the market's not sure yet. We don't know yet, right? So that's what we're mostly going to be watching for on Wednesday, is that press conference, for any hints at him saying that there will be a pause the next Fed rate. So that's going to be very bullish. And in that scenario, if we do get any type of confirmation of a pause, I'm expecting prices to definitely shoot up here. And then going into next week, CPI data, if once again it comes in bullish for us for risk on assets, then again we can see the price shoot up here. And I'm talking about, like, if we get to this week bullish, next week bullish, we could potentially be sitting anywhere either on this trend line up here, which is around $34,000. We could even break above this trend line and hit this next Fibonacci level, which is sitting at $37,000 range. So definitely all possibilities, but it's all going to depend on what happens in these next 2 weeks, these next catalysts that we have. So that starts off this Wednesday. It'll continue next week. Now, a bearish case scenario, if for some reason we get, they say that there's going to be continued rate hikes going forward, CPI data comes in bad, whatever the case might be, where there's a bearish scenario, then again, the first thing we're looking at is 27,000 range for a hold here. If we break below this range, we could potentially, I would say, breaking below this, we would probably fall down to $25,000. That would be the first stop in our drop. The second stop will be probably down here. This is around 22, as low as $20,000. So I think 20,000 would be the most we would retrace in this in any type of bearish scenario, unless there's some type of black swan that we don't know of yet that sends prices even lower than that. Then at that point, we could potentially retest, that 18K to 15K range. Again, I don't think that'll happen. As you guys see right now, the way that the chart is set up is higher highs, higher lows. So I think we continue this trend, and I'm looking here in the next 2 weeks for a potential higher high. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much what I'm looking at right now. That's my outlook in the market. For altcoins, I think altcoins are going to be dependent on Bitcoin dominance. So let me take this out the way really quick. As you guys can see, if we go to the weekly here, in the weekly, we can see that this has been a resistant area for Bitcoin. As you can see back here in 2021 again, and back in 2022, Bitcoin's dominance basically started dropping once it got to these levels, and we're currently sitting at those levels. So that's currently what I'm watching for as far as altcoins. For the most part, they're going to be correlated to Bitcoin, unless we have some type of break here. You can see that we kind of broke above this level, and this is the highest close we've had since back in 2021. So now we got to see what happens here this week and probably the next week. It'll determine a lot of this. I think the way it's looking right now, if it's bullish news for Bitcoin in these next 2 weeks, I think Bitcoin leads the way. altcoins follow after. So that would mean Bitcoin's dominance probably goes up a little bit more, maybe tests that 50% range, and then we get a drop off in Bitcoin dominance as then altcoins rally at that point. So usually Bitcoin leads the way. Ethereum is usually the next one to follow, and then after that is other altcoins. That's usually the way that the cycle goes as far as the flow of money. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that I think the analysis that I wanted to get into as far as analysis. That's my the beep is what do you call it? My vacuum robot vacuum thing. It's probably gonna beep again. But let's jump into a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, drop it in the comment section, and we'll go over it and answer it. I know I've seen a few questions in here already, so I'm gonna jump in and go over some of these. I already answered some of these in the comments, but I'm gonna go over them again. So let me get a drink of water here really quick. And one of the first ones I see here is Solana and Ethereum prediction. I'm gonna hand it over to the Bitcoin Queen to see what she thinks.
Solana impact prediction. Is that what it was?
Solana and Ethereum.
Their impact prediction in terms of like market? Is that what we're asking?
No. Price prediction.
Oh, price prediction.
Yeah.
Well, guys, listen, we're on an upward trend here. For the most part, it looks like we're kind of like altcoin season is like it like kind of came in and then it was like, oh, I'm gonna go this way. Everything's kind of wonky right now because we're in a very like I need everyone to understand that our economy is extremely unstable. And as much as everything around us is functioning, we are operating at a high interest, high asset valuation. Those two things do not actually match. Like you cannot have high interest and have increasing prices on assets. Like that's not usually how these things. If interest high, then assets need to go down. If assets are high, interest needs to go down because like you can't have both. It like doesn't work that way. And we can kind of see that in the market. Like things look great one day and it's like, oh, we're pumping, and then the next day it's just like, oh, we're not sure, and like it's like meme coin season. Like what is even that? Over the next 2 years is what I'll say. We will see Solana double, triple, quadruple because we will officially enter the bull market. From now until then, it's questionable, really depending on the state of the economy and whether things, kind of stay sideways or not. Jay's original prediction is by the end of the year, we should be at $30,000, even though we are in now officially, well, I guess as of March, officially the second quarter of the year, and Bitcoin was just at that $30,000. So it really depends on like the state of the economy. Solana as a cryptocurrency, like yes, it's been progressing. It's taken quite a hit. It's taken quite a fall. Unfortunately, in like the public's eye view, in terms of like me just talking to friends and developers every day, Solana is kind of seen as a joke because of all the things that it's gone through. Although it's still relatively strong. It's one of those things that it has a very large community. Ethereum obviously is not going anywhere. It's burned a lot of currency over the past few, like since they did the halving, or not the halving, I'm sorry, since they did the transition from proof of work to proof of stake. It's burned quite a bit of ETH, which has made it deflationary, even though Ethereum actually doesn't have a market cap. Like there can be a limited amount of printed Ethereum in theory. But yeah, I mean, we're starting to see, I guess we're starting to see a little bit of an uptrend, and we're going to continue to see the uptrend. We're not going to dump back down severely. There's just no way. We've already seen the bottom. The bottom is in. But from now to the end of the year, like maybe for Solana's an easy one to double because it's like what 20 in the 20s. It's easy for it to hit 40, like in theory. Ethereum, it's probably going to take its time. It's a very large ecosystem. And the real question is with Ethereum, will money in Ethereum dump into layer 1 or layer 2? That seems to be a very interesting dynamic that's happening with Ethereum because a lot of things are saying, hey, it's very expensive to build on layer 1. Why are we building on layer 1? We need to build on layer 2. And this is where you see some of those layer 2s, coming in and taking, some profit. With Arbitrum, a lot of that stuff had to do with the airdrop, but it had more transactions on layer 2 than it did on layer 1 for some time. So, we'll see what happens there. I think overall, like I like to make like long term, I guess, thought process and analysis. I don't like to do any of the short term stuff because we're in a very, I guess, unsteady time. So I think for right now, over the next like year or two, like yes, it'll be fine. Like if you're just gonna hodl, but maybe because things are kind of starting to go sideways a little bit. I guess we're starting to see the market crab. Maybe don't play too much with longing and shorting. For like, if you're going to do short-term stuff, if you're going to get in and get out, perhaps, but it's very risky. I've seen people lose it all. So just don't be that guy.
Yeah, definitely. For me, Solana, I'm looking at the chart of Solana right now, and we can see that it's pretty much bottomed out. I don't think we go, any lower. Right now, it's at a pretty good support there in that $20 range. And like you said, like I think it has a huge community behind it. There's still a lot of development and developers on there creating. So I know it was looked at as a joke by a lot of people after the whole FTX fiasco, but it's continued to grow. It really has, and they're creating a lot of games. There's a lot of games on Solana. They're growing their NFT ecosystem, all that. So I do think that it goes back up. From looking here, right now the next resistance is probably around that $30 range. So anywhere between like $28 to $30 is going to be a resistance, and then after that, it looks like as we get close to $50, there's going to be resistance there. But I think it's just a matter of time, to be honest. As things start continue to go up, if we continue to trend to the upside, I think this eventually goes back to previous all-time highs, and maybe even beyond. So yeah, that's pretty much. It depends on what time frame you're thinking about. As far as a prediction, but yeah, it's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. As far as Ethereum, if we pull up the chart here, you can see once this loads up, where's my drawings? Hold on, the drawings aren't appearing now. There we go. So on Ethereum, kind of similar thing. Right now we're sitting at the green support box. So this is a support box that I've been tracking for the past year, and you could even go all the way back to 2021. So that'll be the past 3 years, right? This is a big support area here that Ethereum's currently sitting on. And you can see when we lost this range, when we lost this support, it was a resistance. We got rejected from it multiple times here. So right now it's going to be a strong support here. I think this green box, which is anywhere between 17 to 1800, is going to be a prove to be a good buying opportunity. And that next stop for Ethereum is pretty much around $22 to $2,400-$2,500. So that's going to be that next big range there, big resistance there. I think once Bitcoin really breaks above 30 and stays above 30, we'll see Ethereum rally up probably close to like that $2,500 range. So that's the next targets that I'm looking at, in the shorter term. Once we go beyond that, then we'll talk about that at a later time, because then the prices start getting a little bit crazier. We start talking about possible all-time highs. So for now, that's the main thing that we're looking at. All right, let's look at another question. Everybody Smile said, "You gonna ape into some Pepe? Are you gonna
Who's
ape in or what?"
who's aping in? No, I think that that train took off. Unfortunately, I almost aped in like a week ago, but like I was like, oh, let me just throw $100 here, and then it was like $30 in gas fees, and I was like, I was like, all these fees. It was like one of those things where it's just like I'd rather not. I'd rather just like. I'd rather just play it safe. I thoroughly enjoy just playing it safe because like for crypto for me, like it's something that I'm gonna look at like 5 years from now where I'm just like, all right, I think I'm gonna retire. Let's see how much I got, and then just call it a day because Bitcoin's gonna hit $1 million one day. I got a good amount of ETH in some of these other little altcoins, so it's
Yeah.
just I like it. Like I like to think that I'm gonna play the game, but like I'm really not. This is the truth.
Yeah, I'm like I said earlier. When it comes to meme coins, it's a game of musical chairs. You're gonna be just kind of jumping in randomly and hoping that you're able to make a profit before the music stops. So you have to be very
Yeah.
careful. Any money you put into it,
You don't want to jump in late. The worst thing is when you jump in late. Like
yeah,
when it's over, you're done. Um it's just not it. Like realistically thinking, uh realistically speaking, if I was to put in $100 and from like last week, right? And it's like, okay, Pepe's up, like 100% from then, and it's like, okay, now I have $200. But I paid $60 in gas fees just to get in and get out. It's like, what is the purpose besides like my time and my sanity? It's just not even worth it at that rate.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, with $100, even if you make a 1x, you just made $100. Like, eh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like not great. Yeah, it's like I'm not willing to put more than I'm willing to lose, obviously. So it's like I'm gonna put in small amounts just to kind of like look around, but anything larger than that is like it's very questionable, and it doesn't actually make sense to do.
Yeah,
It's just one of those things where like you just shouldn't.
yeah, definitely. And
Not at a late stage. Like it's like I would consider Pepe right now to be in a later stage. Meme coins come and go so fast that it's just almost not worth it.
yeah, definitely got to be careful. And looking at the chart right now, like look at this chart. It's too late, right? So I would say again, don't get caught when the music stops. Is what I'm saying. I know some
Mm-hmm.
people like to play the meme coins. That's fine. You can definitely make a lot of money if you catch the right one at the right time.
Right.
But yeah, I'm personally staying away. I'm not jumping onto any meme coins. All right, it is 1:59, so I think we're gonna wrap it up and close it out at exactly 2 p.m. We've basically gone over. We covered everything we wanted to cover. We did. Let's look here. We went over exactly where the price update, where the market's at right now. We looked at the economic calendar for the week. As you guys know, it's a very busy week. Went over the news updates so far this week, the latest updates. Did a market analysis, answered some questions in the Q&A. That's pretty much it. Do you have anything else going on that you want to mention? Any final words? I know you have an event coming up. that I was
I
just
will
added
say,
to.
everyone, guys, come see Jay live at Shitcoin 2023, shitcoinconf.com. It's a community conference here in Miami. It's going to be around the Bitcoin conference. It'll be fun. We have, I'm working on actually getting Udi. If anybody know who Udi is, he is a big person, has a big presence within the crypto space. He just turned shitcoiner, and we're going to see if we can get him out here. I saw him recently at Consensus. But we got some pretty good sponsors. Pirate Chain is coming out of the woodworks. We got 11 Vodka. It's going to be a good time. So come out, have fun, and come shitcoin with all your friends.
Awesome. By the way, what am I going to be talking about on the at the conference?
This is your prerogative, my friend. You can do whatever you want, shitcoin style. So.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I might do my breakdown on the top 100 coins last bear market and how they performed. That might be fun.
Nice, nice. I'd like to see. I personally would like to see that.
Awesome. All right, so that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, we'll be here on next week, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you on the next one. As always, peace and love.